Guys, so today is February the 13th. It's a Friday, and we've been real busy this week with farm stuff, and so I just thought it would be easier to do a recap, and I have some footage I can put up of some of the things that we did this week. But basically, we did a lot of pruning around the farm. So pruning on anything that is a perennial woody, like roses, hydrangea, raspberries, and I actually have an explanation of how I prune my raspberries that I'll tack on to the end of this. I'm trying to think what else. I think that was it as far as perennial woodies. And then with perennials in general, I just cut them down to the ground in preparation for them coming up in the spring. And now is a really good time to do it before things warm up and they start to get buds and start blooming. You don't want to delay those blooms. So February is a good month to do your pruning. And I'm just about done the whole farm. I've got a little bit more cleanup and pruning to do tomorrow. Now I don't remove anything that is in a bed or a row that I'm not replacing immediately. So for example, I have a row of zinnia carcasses out there that I'm not going to remove until I'm ready to plant something in its place. Right now, that zinnia structure and the dropped foliage is preventing weeds and things like that from coming up in my bed. So if I pull it now, it'll just make it prime growing space for weeds. So until I'm ready to replace it with something else, it's going to stay there. The only thing I really prune and clean up are my perennials. The rest of it I leave until I'm ready to replace it. So I think that's it as far as pruning goes. Something else we did this week was we set the ranunculus outside because they're going to go into the ground on Monday. So they are experiencing their hardening off. I started yesterday. I put them out for 5 hours. Today they're out for 7. Tomorrow they'll be out for 9. Sunday, I think I'm just going to leave them out overnight. And then Monday, they're going into the ground. So we have that bed all prepared, and they are going to get covered. They're not going to get covered immediately because we have a really good forecast coming up, and it's actually going to rain tomorrow, which is another reason why I kind of wanted to get the cleanup and the pruning done now. Once it rains, it's going to get soggy out. It's already pretty soggy. It's going to get even worse tomorrow. So got the ranunculus getting hardened off and ready to be put in the ground. We started seeds this week. I think that's the last thing I want to talk about. I did check my anemone, and I have a video that I'll add on to the end showing you what the anemone look like. By the 16th of February, I want to have started all of my phlox, and then I'm doing this new flower called Golden Marguerite. It's a Anthemis tinctoria. I've never grown it before. The reason I'm growing it is because it looks a little like daisies, like tiny daisies. They're a pretty cheerful color. I'm hoping they'll take the place of another flower that I used to grow that I'm not growing anymore because it smells horrible and makes me want to puke. And I really love it, but this looks similar, and so I'm hoping it'll be a good substitute. So I'm starting 8 more trays of agrostemma. I'm starting 5 trays of China aster. Cosmos, just 1 tray. Another round of Ami. Gomphrena, my mahogany splendor hibiscus, which I'm only starting about 32 of those because I can get a lot of cuts off of the mahogany. I don't need like a whole row. I need like a third of a row or a quarter of a row. Mountain mint, Rudbeckia, Status, Yarrow. And then I am starting some black-eyed Susan vine just for my landscape. It's not for cutting. So phlox comes in a variety of colors and shapes and sizes. And so you just want to make sure you're getting the tall varieties if you're doing cut flowers. If you're not, if it's just for your landscape, you can get the short ones. The golden marguerite I told you about, I've never grown it before, so it's new for me, but should be beautiful. And then we've done the agrostema already this year. I don't need to talk about that. China aster, we haven't started yet. I'm starting 5 trays today, and then in 2 weeks I'll start 5 more trays. Those are a good gap flower between your summer and your fall. So they kind of hit right when you have a lull in your flowers. And let's see, cosmos are beautiful, gorgeous. Again, you want to be careful with the variety. They can come very short. Now, there are some short varieties that I grow just because they're so pretty. There's some really like deep orange and bright yellows that are very pretty that are on the shorter side, and I just harvest them until they die. So they're not going to get as big and as beautiful as, say, like Sensation Mix or Apricota, but they're beautiful and they're fun. Okay, Amy we've done already. Gomphrena, this is kind of a backup tray for me. So I have a full bed, a full 4x8 bed of Gomphrena, which is plenty. But I'm doing an experiment. I just kind of let the seed drop, and I'm seeing if it comes up on its own. If it does, great. If it doesn't, I have a backup. So mahogany splendor hibiscus, like I said earlier, I don't need quite as much of that because it gets so tall and makes so many stems. I can harvest like 300 stems off of just 25 plants, or so I don't need a ton of that. Mountain mint is, I've got it in 2 places actually right now. I have it in my fruit and vegetable garden, and I've got it out in the U-pick, but the U-pick, I hadn't filled a whole bed, so I'm just kind of filling in the rest of that bed. And mountain mint is amazing. You could plant, see, I want to think how many I have in the vegetable garden. I think it's 8 plants in a 3x6 maybe, and I get 500 cuts off of that at least a season. It's amazing. Rudbeckia, I don't think we started that, so you know about Rudbeckia. Status is a native of Australia, but it does really well here. I find that the white variety does a lot better for me than the other varieties, and it's kind of, it prefers drier soil, which is hard for me to do because I water everything in a block, and so it's gonna get as much water as everything else is getting. I can't be real picky. I do try to put all the things that like to be drier together, but it doesn't always work out. So anyway, Status is a good one. I don't love the form too much. It comes kind of like in a branching, a really stiff branching form. But if you just cut off those side shoots, it's a lot easier to put into a bouquet. The black-eyed Susan vine is just for my landscaping. So it's a climber. I grew it last year. It just makes a really pretty, fast flush. If you're looking for something to grow up a trellis quickly and to fill in quickly, it's a good choice. Roses are going to take a couple seasons as climbers before they get really established. So something quick and easy, and also I can kind of play with which variety. Last year I did coconut appeal, and this year I'm doing African sunset. It's just fun to try different things. And then last but not least, yarrow, which we've been over again. Amazing. It's kind of like the mint in that you can get like a billion cuts off one plant. So good investment. Anyway, I think that's it for this week. I'll include those other 2 videos at the end of this for you guys. Oh, update on what is growing in the seed room. Right back behind me, we have so many trays of plants that are ready to go out. We're actually going to start hardening these off. I want to say maybe next week, depending on the weather. I might wait 1 more week. I want to get these out by March 1st, like all the sweet pea and all the snapdragon and all those things that can handle a little bit more cold temperatures. So yeah, they're growing really well. Everything's looking really good. And yeah, I hope to have more updates for you as we plant these out in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so I'm out here pruning my raspberries, and I thought I'd show you befores and afters and explain my pruning process to you. I've got some hawks flying around, so I'm just trying to watch my chickens here. Anyway, the dogs are barking at them. Sorry, distracted. Okay, raspberries. This is the messy one that hasn't been done yet, and here's the good one that I already did. So with ever-bearing, both these varieties are ever-bearing. With those, what you want to do is you want to cut them down a little, trim the fruiting, the old fruit off. So you can see over here on these ones I haven't done yet that they've got their fruiting branches still on top. So you're going to trim those off. You're going to pull out anything that is dead or dying. Now when you make a cut, you can tell if the stem is dead. I can pretty much tell by looking, but if you're unsure and you make a cut and there isn't some green in there, I don't know if you can see that that's kind of greenish in there. Even on the stem that's kind of more brown looking, you can see green in the center. If it's not green, it's dead. And sometimes that just means the top is dead. So sometimes you can cut down and you'll start to see some green. So because I have so many canes, I can be a little less careful with my pruning. I don't have to save every single cane. Now, I do have some first years over here that are, you can't even see them. They're so short and little and tiny. So I didn't prune those at all, really. I just took off the fruiting tops of those. So anyway, take out dead, dying, diseased, cut them back a little, thin them out a little if they're crazy. And that is basically all I do to my raspberries. Came out to do a bunch of stuff actually in this area. Excuse me, I was pruning and clearing out the dead stuff. Anyway, I've got my anemone planted out here and they are so beautiful. We have really good weather this week and rain coming actually on, I think rain is coming tomorrow. So I wanted to uncover them so that they could get that rain, and then we've got like 10 days above freezing, so I'm just going to keep them uncovered until I have to cover them. And even actually at 32 they'd be okay, but I'm going to cover them if it gets to freezing. So anyway, and I should point out these two on the sides are doing not as well as this one in the middle. It had a little bit more coverage. So anyway, note to self, this was just covered with greenhouse plastic, whereas these are, this came with this frame kit here. So anyway, the greenhouse plastic did the best on that. So anyway, should have blooms out of these in a month or less.